Dereck,
What do you?
I want to ask about Chet. He's obviously a great, rookie this year, but there's a little extra motivation going against him, and just what do you think you can do to stop him?
He's a great player. He picks and pops. He could roll. He could finish. He could shoot. There's a lot of things overall he could do well. So he's going to be able to just find his rhythm, try to be able to get him off of his spots, and try to make him uncomfortable.
What emotions go into losing Maxey? Obviously, Kid talked about next man up, but I'm sure you guys as teammates just got to feel awful.
I mean, yeah, just seeing one of our family members go down that bad we all get hit. Just being able to know we got to be able to pick them up. There's a lot of people who's looking at us, a lot of people who's questioning what we're going to do, but Maxey knows that we got his back, and we know that he's going to do whatever he can to get better. But we got to be able to take it game by game, next man up, like as you said.
After the midseason trade, you beat this team by 35 points. What do you take from that game going into game one?
It's definitely going to be a dogfight. Both teams got a lot of animosity going into the game. Everyone wants to come out and throw the first punch, but it's going to be able to who could take the first punch and then throw another. That's really what this game's going to be about.
I don't think Dereck played in that game doing.
I didn't.
I know. I say, what do you take as a team? Animosity. Why does both teams have a lot of animosity?
I just feel like there's two great teams. Everyone's always just trying to compete, and now we're in a playoff atmosphere. So it just takes everything that we thought was high intensity in the middle of the season, and it just ramps it up tenfold.
How about in terms of you individually? Obviously last playoff series was your first experience. Did you find yourself getting more and more comfortable with playoff basketball as that series
For sure.
played out?
It really comes down to possession by possession. You got to be able to understand how the refs are calling the game. You got to be able to understand the flow of the game. And you got to be able to understand that every single touch matters. So you got to be able to set the screen correctly. You got to be able to know the play correctly. But at the same time, you can't be a robot. You got to go out there and play basketball. You got to be able to make reads. You got to be able to be comfortable. You got to be able to trust your teammates.
These two teams are forever linked to each other because of what happened on draft night and obviously you being drafted to this team. Have you thought about any of that, obviously, since the matchup has been made official, about what kind of maybe full circle moment this kind of is for you in this way?
I feel like, you could say that, but, both teams got what they needed. Dallas got a big, OKC got a great defender, a great guard. So we know that Kaysen's a great player. Kaysen knows I'm a great player. We have a lot of respect for one another. So it's going to be able to just see who can go out there and do the most, who can go out there and do the best little things so that they can affect the game.
What's it like playing with Kyrie? And by that I mean, the other twice in this series, he has basically nothing in the first half and then turns it up and breaks loose and goes nuts in the second half. Do you guys sense that when he's slipping into
getting hot? For sure. You can sense whenever he's really locked in. And sometimes it just takes maybe a missed shot. It takes maybe just a layup or maybe even just an assist. And you could just start to see how in tune that he is into the game, how locked in and how he's trying to find his spots. He's not rushed. He's not out of control. He's one of the most he's one of the most controlled players I know. Let me say that correctly.
Is it similar with Luka when he's starting to get locked in, or
sure.
Does it feel the same, or does it feel or look slightly different, or is it very similar?
It really comes down to everyone just watching the ball and then just watching Luka's eyes, because his eyes are going to be able to tell you all you need to know. You're going to tell if he's mad. You're going to tell if he's locked in. You're going to tell him if he wants a matchup or who he wants. You're going to be able to tell that just by the way he looks at you. Mm-hmm. Having just two monsters like that in the team just makes everybody feel more confident on the floor. Makes them want to step up and make that shot or step up and make the right read.
Can you talk about your relationship with Tyson Chandler and Sean Sweeney? We see the two of them working with you day by day. How has that relationship developed and what you've gotten from them?
I almost talk to those two daily, if not daily. Being able to know that, when I went home, usually it was my mom to talk basketball too. And, that was, at this point, I can't do that anymore. So I find myself talking to Sweeney and Tyson Chandler even more, texting them about a clip or how I should guard this specific screen, how I should guard this specific post move, what positioning should I be in this time. And it's just trying to figure out how I can learn as much as possible in this high-intensity environment. Tyson's been in this, and Tyson's probably, he has more excitement out there than anyone on the floor. That's crazy because I'm 20, and he has more excitement than me. Just being able to have someone like that there just makes me feel more confident and just makes me just want to learn much more faster.
Dereck, you talked about your experience in the first round of the playoffs. From a team perspective, what would you like to see carry over into the series with the Thunder?
The attention to detail, the dedication in the matchup, the dedication to the next man up mentality, and the dedication to the game plan. You know, we all know what we're trying to do. We all know what matchup, what play we're trying to run, what action we're trying to get into, and what defense we're trying to run. But at the same time, it's all going to come down to if we can be able to talk, trust, be able to communicate on the floor.
And how much does avoiding a Game 7, getting rest and getting more preparation do for this team?
It gives us definitely a second to put our ice on our knees, take a second to be able to review some film, learn from our mistakes, and be able to try to reflect and try to just become a better player. Because, everything comes down to just little details.
I know I've asked you this already during the season, but from summer league to the regular season to now, it seems like you and Chet just been going at it. So how does it feel to be going against him again for pretty much the third time?
It's amazing. He's a great player. He's a great person, and he just has this competitive bone in him that just makes everybody just wants to step up and check him. Being able to know that he's going to go out there, he's going to shoot a three, he's going to yell in your face, he's going to go out there, he's going to block a shot, he's going to dunk. It just makes you just that much more excited of what's going to happen. He's going to be a great player, so he's got to be able to make yourself step up even higher.
Dereck, what did you learn specifically from your first playoff series?
Trust the routine. There's going to be a lot of different things going on in your life. There's going to be a lot of things going on off the floor, a lot of different game times, a lot of things going on. But all you can do is just trust your routine that you've been building all season.
Obviously, who scores the most points wins, but how important is it to dial things up on the defensive end of the court?
A lot more physicality. Just a lot more dedication of just, if you're going to set a screen, you got to set and hit the screen. You got to hit the person with the screen. But at the same time, if you're on defense, you got to get over. So there's just a lot of more third and fourth efforts rather than the first and second efforts that you see throughout the normal season.
You a better singer than Chet?
I don't sing at all, so I could give him that. I can barely speak English at this time of day, so I definitely don't got that.
What's most challenging about facing a guard with size and pace that plays into the gaps like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the anchor of the defense?
Is just going to be able to just try to show him a crowd, trying to make sure that we know where his spots is trying to be and trying to get him off of his spots, trying to make him uncomfortable, as I said. And, he's a great player. He's going to make those shots. He's going to make tough shots. He's going to make crazy shots. But at the same time, we got to be able to take it out and push the ball up the floor with pace. It's going to be a possession-by-possession game, as we know. So he's going to be able to go out there and who's going to be able to make the correct transition play or who's going to make the correct defensive read. So it's really just going to come down to a lot of fine details.
Since the games are basically played every other day, is there an advantage either way that, you got a short trip?
I guess, yeah. It's definitely better being on a plane for 45 minutes than 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. It's definitely instead of it's like a long drive rather than a long flight. Mm-hmm. So being able to have that quick turnaround can definitely help us be able to get our bodies and our minds right.
So you gonna drive up there?
No, definitely not. But it's different looking at a 45-minute flight than a 2-hour and 45-minute flight.
Okay, all right, I got you.
Appreciate y'all.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, let's. Maxie's out. Timmy returned to practice. We'll see how he feels tomorrow, and then Omax is out.
How big was this loss for Maxie?
Well, it's next man up. So we would love to be healthy, but Maxie's out, so there's nothing we can do. It's on to the next guy.
So who's the next guy?
And when we get Timmy back, so we get healthy there. So that's how we'll look at it, is that we lost Maxie, but we get Timmy back.
In terms of bigs, do you see Markieff as a possibility for getting some minutes?
Yeah, Oklahoma's not a big team, so
right.
Looking at
in terms of versatility, because they play versatile bigs.
Yeah, who does? Oklahoma
City.
Yeah. Yeah, we can look at Keith, DP, PJ. We got quite a few bigs that we can go to, so we're not short on bigs.
Right. Okay. Do you in any way view, everybody's pointing out the fact that OKC has the youngest roster to make us second round entry ever. Do you view them in any way as a young team? I mean, their play on the court does not seem to indicate that.
Yeah, they're young on paper, but they have Coach of the Year. Mark's done an incredible job with that group. You look at Shai, MVP candidate, could easily win MVP. You look at Dort, has been in the league. They've been together, as a group. Chet is young, but they play, hard. They play extremely well at home. But on paper, they're young, but they had the best record in the West. And so, age it's not about age, it's about being able to execute. And hopefully we can do that on the road.
Do they remind you any, Jason, of the team you guys played in 2011, the OKC team with Hart and Westbrook?
Yeah, they were young. That group was young. In 2011, they were good too, and they were well coached with Scotty. So again, there are some similarities. When you look at that, that was a big team too. When you look at this team with Oklahoma City, they have a bunch of smalls and mediums who can flat out, score the ball. And so we have to do a good job of guarding the ball, on ball. They're one of the best teams of being able to get in the gaps and get to the rim. And so we got to protect the rim and the paint.
A couple of years ago, you described the team that went to the conference finals as you would often describe it as a young team. Now, 2 years later, the two stars leading are older. One of them is different. But a lot of the role players, at least by age, are even younger than they were then. What stage of development, is this roster, is this team, both going into this playoffs and then going forward?
Yeah, I think it's a young team. Some of the major pieces got here at the trade deadline. So I would say that it's young. Luka's still young. He's only 25. But when you look at Kai, he's 30-something. You have to, again, go through different scenarios, situations, good and bad, learn from them, and find a way to win. And that's what this group has done, since the trade deadline. Is we've used the season to be successful, and also we've had some situations where we didn't play our best, but we learned from them, and we've used that experience into the playoffs.
After that trade deadline, you beat this team by 35 points. How much stock do you put in that game, and what can you learn from that game going forward?
Yeah, that's just a regular season game. Playoffs are a little bit different, but that's, I think, the only game that Kai and Luka played together. We really didn't have our group when we played Oklahoma City, especially the last game. But again, with having everyone right after the trade deadline, with making that trade and having Kai and Luka play for the first time against Oklahoma City, we can look at some of the things that we had success with, and hopefully we can do that again on Tuesday.
What did you learn about your group in taking out the Clippers that you want to obviously carry over going into this round with the Thunder, whether it be offensively, defensively, or from a mindset standpoint? What did you learn about this group?
Yeah, this is a team. We're a group. We play together. A lot of the attention will be on Luka and Kai, but the role players believe they're a big part of this too. And so no one's going to panic if things don't go well for us. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. We watch it on film. But this group is tightly, a tight group that does a lot of things together on and off the floor. So that's what I've learned in this first series, is that there is no panic. There's a lot of calmness with this group, and everybody just goes out there and does their job. That doesn't mean that you're always going to win, but if you can put your best foot forward, that gives you a chance, and that's all we can ask for.
You've known Kyrie a long, long time, and you talked the other night about his worldliness. How have you seen him maybe mature? I don't know if that's the right word, but how he's changed in the years leading up to now?
Yeah, I think that's a question for him. But from the outside, you look at his calmness. He's at peace, and sometimes at a certain age in life, that comes about. But also with the people that he's around, maybe plays a part in that too. And so, and I'm guessing, but that could also have something to do with it. But you can see he's smiling, he's happy, and he's been that way, I think, since he arrived last year at the trade deadline. When we made that trade for him, I thought you saw that he was happy and he was at peace. And I don't think he's been very consistent with that, up to this point. And so I think he's just happy. But I've known him for a long time, and he's always been wanting to be happy. But he loves competition, and he wants to win, and you can see that right now.
What about Dallas as a sports market? Both of you guys went through the meat grinder, so to speak, of New York. Do you think Dallas as a sports market is maybe a little less harsh in terms of whether it's media, fans, or some combination of?
You want me to answer that for him?
No,
I can't. For
you've
me,
been through it.
I can care less. I think you guys understand that. I don't care what you guys say, so you can write or think what you want. You have a right to your opinion, but my job is to make these young men better on and off the floor, and I think I've done that, but you guys won't say that, but that's cool.
I'm pretty much.
No, don't go into I. This is a team in here.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm joking.
I'm pretty sure I have said and written
I know.
that.
I'm joking.
Okay.
I'm joking.
There's also some players who that does affect more,
Yeah, that's my job. Is you can see my teams don't panic. We're not going to panic because we lost a game. That's up to the fans.
But
There's no I team, but there's an ME.
Yeah. Not here, but I think this is a great group. Everybody gets along. Everybody cheers for each other. I think you guys have seen that. It's a great group. Nico's done an incredible job of putting this group together, and in a short amount of time, it's had success. So now the goal is to continue to build on that, stack as many good days. There's going to be some days where things don't go well, but we come back to work and we find a way to get better. And that's what it's all about. It's about team. Again, Luka and Kyrie are going to get a lot of the attention, but when you hear them talk, they talk about the other guys, which is sometimes you don't see that with star players, but that's cool to see.
Coach, I wanted to ask about Chet. I know you're not going to give away your strategy for guarding him, but can you just talk about his rookie season, what you thought about him this year?
Yeah, he's been great. Sweeney knows him well from AAU days in Minnesota. So, you look at his frame. He's one of the top shot blockers in the league. He can put it on the floor, loves the game of basketball, competes, had a heck of a season this year. And so we have to be conscious of him when he's on the floor at the rim because he finds a way to block shots, and so we have to account for him.
Jason, you talked about this being a great team. What's the key in the foundation blocks to build a great team?
Patience, time. I think also having the right people. And that sometimes it takes time to find those right pieces, and when you do, you hold on to them and you continue to look for those other pieces. And right now we have a lot of pieces that fit, and so this group is really, really good in a shorter amount of time, and so we have to build on that.
People will kind of bring up the rest versus rush question. It'll be 10 days since they played. I guess roughly 4 for you guys. Do you think the 4-day window is actually kind of a good in-between where you'll get a little recoup time, but also maybe not lose your edge?
Yeah, I think when we get rest, we're terrible. We've seen that with the All-Star break and at the end of the season. So hopefully this is enough rest for those guys. But I'm just joking. But we'll see. Sometimes there could be a little rust early, but At this point of the season, the more rest that you can get, because you guys are playing heavy minutes, the better it is.
In a situation like this, Jason, when you're basically playing every other day now, how much of an advantage is it for you guys playing this team as opposed to Portland, which is way up the street?
Yeah, the commute is easier. We're playing late games, so except Saturday. So yeah, it's good that we don't have to travel to LA. We're happy that we're not playing today in LA, and so the travel is good. But we're playing the best team in the Western Conference, and so this is a great challenge for us.
Is Lucas so good at assists that he passed his cold to you?
I think so. I don't know. Well, somebody did.
Sorry to hear that.
No worries.